Welcome to PM Express Business Edition. Today we're looking at the deployment of COVID-19 vaccines and the recovery of the Ghanaian economy. Can this do the trick for us in terms of aiding in the recovery of the Ghanaian economy? We can hear news from other countries where we understand that because of these vaccines, they've actually been able to slow down the high mortality rates and also hospitalization as well. So this evening on PM Express, we're looking at this. Let's also do a run in terms of the numbers. Based on what the Ghana Statistical Service has released, we had about 81,000 confirmed cases as well. And also those who are recovered, that's the good news about it. We had about 74,681 new cases. And if you try to do the trend analysis, we've seen that the number of new cases, they are slowing down. We're in the 700s, we came to 600, 500, and now 428. Active cases are also there. Let's look at them. So we're looking at the approved vaccines by FDA, and since today we're looking at how the deployment of these vaccines, how they can go a long way in actually slowing this virus and aiding in the recovery of the economy. That's why we are giving this info. Normally we may not be focusing on some of these health issues, but it's health, then the economy and recovery. So you can look at the Food and Drugs Board actually has approved the AstraZeneca vaccines as well from India. We have the Sputnik vaccine from Russia for mass immunization in Ghana, starting from actually March to October. Now, for selected segments of the population, you understand that first they will target the healthcare workers, come to the frontline security personnel, and also personnel with known underlying conditions as well, and come to frontline members of the executives and the legislature. And one critical thing we should look at here is that all these segments of people play a critical role in the economy. The healthcare workers, if you are sick, if a worker is sick, we go to them. Security persons as well, they are providing the required security to ensure that we can go to work and protect our systems as well. Judiciary, if a business has a case in court, should we set it aside because of COVID, or we should still go? We could look at the fact that the Ghana Health Service says they train over 12,500 vaccinators and 2,000 supervisors to aid in this whole program as well. So these are some of the things we'll be looking at today on PM Express Business Edition in terms of how this can aid in the recovery of the economy. If you look at the global numbers, we have more than 205 million doses have been administered across 92 countries. The latest rate was rolling out about 6.44 million doses per day. And if you look at the numbers and if you look at what you actually can see when you do a scan through the global countries as well, you realize that Israel and London, something good is happening there. And because of the London is saying that they are actually going to open up the economy, all other things being equal, from June. So I think that these numbers may give us a fair idea in terms of how these numbers have worked out. UK and us in race to end the pandemic, AstraZeneca, UK trials and all those things that have been done. And it gives you us a breakdown of everything here. So for us on PM Express Business Edition, we'll be looking at in all these things, how or what will be the situation for Ghana in terms of rolling out these vaccines and how it could impact on the economy. My name is George. I'll be your host this evening as we engage an economist, Peter Kote. He's also going to join us. Chuma Kwabwa is the Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Industries. Professor Alex Dodu as well. He is the Director General of the Ghana, actually the Director General of the Ghana Standards Board as well. And he's also a pharmacologist when it comes to appreciating the whole issues about vaccines and all those things as well. So he is going to join us on the line for more details on that one. This is PM Express Business Edition. We're going to take a short break and be right back as we get onto the Zoom and engage all our guests on PM Express as in the deployment of these vaccines and how it can help slow the rate of this virus and actually aid in the recovery of the economy. All these things wrapped up. We'll take a break and be right back. So welcome to PM Express Business Edition. It has done the trick for some economies across the world. We can talk about Israel and London. The Prime Minister of UK, Boris Johnson, recently announced that all other things being equal, from June, they will gradually open up the economy. It is said that the country's economy in Ghana here has been going through some problems because of COVID-19. And the belief is that if we're able to deploy these vaccines fast enough, we can slow the rate of spread, slow hospitalization, as well as mortality rate. And the belief is that there's some connection here about the Ghanaian economy. We're talking to an economist, we'll be talking to a business person, we're talking to a pharmacologist, somebody who actually appreciates this whole vaccine business around the world. And we can't leave out the Ghana Health Service. So let's connect onto our Zoom platform and get some understanding first from the Ghana Health Service. Prof, thank you so much for your time. Prof, Ghana Health Service, thank you so much for your time in charge of public health, and welcome to PM Express.
Good morning. Good evening.
Good evening. I know you've been working out through the whole day and been hopping from one meeting to the other, so don't worry. You are forgiven. How are you doing, Prof? On talk.
Doing well.
So help me out and let's try and do the 101, just like what they'll tell us, level 100, economics 101 and all the rest. As we speak right now, what is the state of the vaccines that have been shipped in? Are they being locked in the fridge? Are they being gathered under the self-security men and all the rest? Are they sorting out being done or what?
Thank you very much. So yesterday we received 600,000 doses, and based on our plan, those 600,000 doses were moved into our national cold room. So they are in our cold room now. The plan is to move them tomorrow to the regional cold rooms, and then it will go to the districts, and then further on to go to, let's say, the users, the vaccinators, where you see them in the smaller boxes, which we call the vaccine carriers. So for now, the vaccines are in our national cold room.
Mm-hmm. And I know you've given a date in terms of the timing. Can you just refresh our memories again? When are you planning to roll it out so that, for instance, if George Jaffe is a frontline health worker at maybe Kolebu or maybe at Konfanoti Teaching Hospital, all other things being equal, if I'm selected, I can start taking the vaccine?
Yeah, so based on our plan, we hope to start the actual vaccination on the 2nd of March. And then for this 600,000 doses, we're hoping to get it done in a week. So 7 days plus to be able to reach the target group. Let me say that for this 600,000, we are looking at Ashanti region, the parts of the urban Ashanti region, and then we are looking at the urban Accra, and then Obuasi. So in total, we are looking at 43 districts to cover for this 6,000 doses.
I know that for the other vaccines, it came under some strict conditions in terms of even transporting it as well. Does the same thing apply to this AstraZeneca vaccines? I stand to be corrected, Doc, or it's just out behind like the normal vaccines? I know as I grew up, I knew the polio vaccines where they carry them in the normal box and containers, fridges and all those things, and then you see the people on the ground working. Does the same thing apply to these vaccines, or because it's been developed for the temperate zone like that, you can even carry them in my wallet and then go and do the inoculations or whatever?
Yes, thank you very much. So there are a number of vaccine candidates around, but let me say that the AstraZeneca product fits into our existing code room. So it's not very different. The others like the Pfizer and the Moderna, they use a different temperature range of -70 and -20. But this is the typical cold room that we use. So we are looking at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. So that's how they have been put into our normal cold rooms. So it's not very different from what we are doing.
I see.
But maybe also stress that I think that I think you made mention of some 12,000 vaccinators and about 40,000 volunteers and 2,000 supervisors. I mean, that is based on when we are trying to cover all the 20 million Ghanaians. But for the purpose of this 600,000, we are not going to use those large numbers.
Okay.
And we have clearly outlined plan about how it's going to be done.
So I get you that. Did you say from the 2nd of March, if I stand to be corrected, right?
Yes, that's the plan. That 2nd of March we set the actual vaccination, and it is so it's not going to be everything is not going to be done in the 2nd of March. We are hoping to do it in 7 days or maybe plus 2, so we cover all the 600,000 doses. But let me say that's minus about 5% wastage rate. So we are going to vaccinate maybe around 570,000 Ghanaians. That's what we hope to do at the end of the 7-9 days.
And the target regions are Greater Accra and Ashanti, right?
Yeah. So as I said, so we are looking at what we call the Greater Accra. So the urban based on the hotspots, and then we are looking at the urban part of Ashanti. So in total, we are looking at 43 districts. That's including Obuasi. Obuasi has 2 districts, and then we have also included Kaswa and Otusenya East and West. So those are in Central region. We somehow seem to consider it as part of urban Accra because people are commuting in and out of Accra in Kaswa. So that's our direction for this 600,000 doses.
You are in charge of public health, and I know you've dealt with these things over the years. How are you dealing with all the concerns, all the concerns about these vaccines? And a day would not pass without receiving something on my WhatsApp page or phone about some saying that it's going to change our DNA. Today, I saw someone on Twitter saying that, and just to quote his direct words, I think that by now they are even filling the vaccines with water so they can become plenty. I mean, it's all these things that are out there. And sorry that, and I would not mention his name, I know a medical personnel that I'm on the platform with that he's saying that he will not allow his kids to take it. He will not even take it himself. There's a big barrier in trying to get this thing out there.
Yes, so apparently, let me say that we are in an era of social media and it has own challenges. But we are very confident of the effects going to happen. The president of the country is going to be the first person to take it. So if you have a president who is well committed to take it, and I can tell you that there are prominent chiefs, prominent Ghanaians who are ready for it. And when the fever starts, we'll get on board. Because you see, Ghana needs to get back to the normal. The normal can only happen when you have additional interventions, and that's about the vaccines. So we have applied non-pharmaceutical measures. We have achieved some kind of success, but Ghana can never be the same. And I think that you're talking about Israel, you're talking about the UK, you're talking about the US, and they are trying to be normal. You can only become normal when you have some level of immunity, when you have some herd immunity, and then you can do things that you're supposed to be doing. There's some WhatsApp going around about people want to hug, people want to eat in a restaurant. You can only do that when you have achieved the herd immunity. So if you decide to stay out, the country can never get the herd immunity that we need. And it's when you have that collective population who are protected, then you are trying to save those who are not even protected, then things can be normal. So I think that we should all make our mind as Ghanaians that we want to get to the normal state. In the normal state is when we buy fully into the idea of vaccination.
I'll get back to Doc Franklin. He's Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, about the plan to also bring private sector on board as well. Because if I get this thing, I understand that it will be for a 6-month period or 8-month period, going for what will be the plan for the other phases as well. But let me also bring my other guest on board. Professor Alex Dodu is the Director General of the Standard Boards Authority, but also a pharmacologist. He's worked on several pandemics across the world, actually, and trying to get some understanding from Prof. So, I mean, do you see us surmounting this challenge? I mean, in terms of what has happened in other countries, even before, COVID-19, we had Ebola, we had polio, and all the rest. Do you see us getting over this for the economy to pick up?
My simple answer will be yes. And a big yes. The basis for that answer is history. Pandemics have occurred throughout history. We've had pandemics, the bubonic plague, the Great Pestilence, the SARS. We've had the Hong Kong flu, the Asian flu, the Spanish flu. If you look at the historical data, within 24 hours, 24 years, between 24 months, 2 years, the history tells us within 2 years or a bit, give or take, humanity recovers. However, in the current pandemic, medical science has developed, and humanity should be congratulated for the rapidity of developing a safe and effective vaccine or vaccine constructs, of which there are various candidates and a few, 2 of which have been registered in Ghana. So we will overcome, because history shows that humanity does overcome. However, there are things to be done, and I'm very happy the Director of Public Health has stated some of the key issues that need to be looked at. So as a country, are we prepared? My answer is yes. We have followed the science, we have followed the data. We are now bringing out the vaccines that will help us overcome the challenges we are having. What do we need to do? There definitely will be resistance and hesitance to vaccination. It's happened historically.
And Paul, sorry to step in, even polio, I mean, growing up, you just overcame that stigma and even the conspiracy theories. Even recently, I stand to be corrected, Pakistan, and even Nigeria as well.
You are very, very right. And George, let me repeat once again the polio story, but link it to other developments. Vaccines represent one of the most remarkable interventions in public health. Because of vaccines, we no longer globally have smallpox. Smallpox is dead, eradicated, never to come again. Because of vaccination, measles, that those of us 56 and below used to see in our youth, do not see anymore. So the benefits of vaccine in eliminating or eradicating disease is not in doubt. But there is also the other part. And one of the first jobs I did in public health was to deal with the Nigeria polio crisis in the early 2000s, where communities claimed that the polio vaccine was an attempt to sterilize people and so on and so forth. And we in the vaccine safety community know that rumors, anxieties, fake news, etc., will be there. But they must not be just washed away. Citizens have a right to be concerned, to be anxious, to be questionable of these interventions. Our job as governments and public health practitioners is to carefully explain to citizens the benefits of the interventions that we are rolling out and why we need everybody on board to make sure that we are all protected. Because if everyone is not protected, no one will be protected.
I'll be coming back to you, Prof, and also Doc as well. There's whole dynamics about herd immunity, and also how do you convince businesses out there that, listen, there's light at the end of the tunnel, so you can start planning and reviving the economy as well. Let's bring in Sir Chuma Kobwa, Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Industry. Seth, for you in industry, manufacturing, maybe I should say you're very excited about these developments. Seth, if you can hear me, I was just trying to find out from you about how excited industry it is by this development and news that in UK, based on the deployment of these vaccines, they are now planning to open up the economy. Israel has done so much well and also trying to do a similar thing as well. For us here in Ghana, looking at all these data, are you that excited by this and hoping that all other things being equal, industry will be open or the economy will be open up very soon? If we can get...
Well done. Thank you very much.
Seth, you can go ahead. I can hear you, please. It looks like we were having some small collection or connection problem with Seth. If Seth cannot hear me, let's see whether...
Can you hear me, George?
I do. Please, you can go ahead, Seth.
Good, good. So the point is that we are excited about the vaccine coming in because the pandemic is really creating problems for businesses. A lot of businesses are on the edge now. The inputs they expect are not coming in. Economies of other countries who they are doing business with are also closing down. So traveling around has been very difficult. And all this is seriously affecting business development. And therefore, if the vaccines are coming in and coming to relieve the citizenry and allow businesses to be opening up and create demand for our goods and services, then it is indeed a good news for Ghanaian businesses. So we're looking seriously forward to it.
Seth, sorry to take you back, but I know among your members you have wonderful pharmaceutical firms that are even producing for the UN and UNAIDS and all the rest in terms of for other countries as well. Maybe I'll switch back to the public health people, but I also want to, why are you looking forward in or taking some of these vaccines and working on generics to produce some of them locally here?
I can say for sure that our companies are already exploring, but we know that the technology and the protocols you have to go through to be in a position to produce is quite bureaucratic and difficult, but they're exploring. I'm aware that even at the presidency, there has been a committee set up. And AGA has been invited to be part of that committee to explore the possibilities of producing some of the vaccines in Ghana. So people are really looking into it. We are exploring all possibilities. And at the appropriate time, when things work out, I believe Ghanaian businesses will take advantage of it. Because as you rightly said, we have good pharmaceutical companies in Ghana. They are producing all kinds of products.
For United Nations?
We should be able to do it.
But are you ready for it and being able to take up that challenge if you have the license from any of these global pharmaceutical firms to maybe start producing them locally?
I would say yes and no, because the protocols have to be clear. The experts in the field would be able to determine whether our capacity here can do some of these things. But I believe that once you are given the right ingredients, the right protocols, our companies have been able to start up to the plate. If you take the antiretroviral drugs for the HIV patients, a lot of them is being produced in Ghana now. Our own president, Dan Adams, is producing in large volumes. He's even exporting out of the country. So once they've been able to do that, it means that they have the capacity to do others as well. So readiness, to some extent, I would say yes, because we have the basic infrastructure. We have the pharmaceutical manufacturing plants here. But other protocols that goes with producing such a vaccine, because it's not just the production, it's also meeting the standards and then ensuring that the licensing requirements you go through, all these are dynamics that a typical company that wants to produce must appreciate and go through, and giving the opportunity to produce before you're able to produce it. The production is not just the matter of putting the chemicals together and manufacturing. It's the protocols that go with it that makes it more complicated. And as far as that is concerned, you have to go through a process. So I'm sure with time, we should be able to produce it. There's no doubt about it. We should be able to produce it in Ghana.
I'll get back to you on the outlook, but let me go back to Dr. Franklin. He's Director of Public Health, and I'll also be coming back to Professor Peter Korte. He's an economist, and what is he looking at, or things going to look for us in terms of the broader economy and how things will look like. But let me get back to Director of Public Health, the Ghana Health Service. So, Doc, I mean, what percentage of the population would you be able to cover that you would then recommend to the president that, listen, we've been able to immunize these X number of people, we can do the gradual opening up of the economy? I mean, just basing on ifs and buts and all other things being equal here, Doc, sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think that if we look at the Ghanaian situation, I think the goal of the president is that let's get every Ghanaian vaccinated. So you are looking at
32 million? 32 million or 30 million?
There's 31 million.
Okay.
Ghanaians vaccinated. That is the ultimate goal of the president. But you know, the current vaccines are not for use in persons under 18 and then pregnant women. So in that context, they are somehow cut off. So the direction is that let's vaccinate 20 million Ghanaians. And that one give us the needed herd immunity that will allow us to get to where we want to get to. So that is a drive, but it's a dream. And we're hoping that if you look at the plan, the idea is that let's try and do it by the end of October. And there's an appreciation on the fact that you can all achieve those figures by a single source. So we are looking at multiple sources. We are looking at bilateral sources and then multilateral sources. So let me say that for now, the first batch of vaccines that we received actually came from the COVAX facility.
Yeah.
That is a facility that's for middle and the lower income countries. And that one assigned us about 6.2 million Ghanaians to get it. But let me, apart from that, we are also having these discussions with the private sector fund. I mean, the fund that helped establish the infectious disease center in the country. So they are also hoping to secure vaccination for 6 million Ghanaians. So, and then we have this facility that exists in the AU. There's an African Medical Supply Platform. That's also going to guarantee us under 6 million. Then we have the Tony Blair Foundation. So there are quite a number of facilities that exist, all in our drive to make sure we achieve the 20 million Ghanaians to be vaccinated. And our drive is that let's start and make sure that we get it and receive to Ghana, for Ghana to get it to normal. It's about getting the vaccines in large numbers and then in rapid time. So that you can be able to overcome this new idea of mutants popping about. Let me say that for now, we are fortunate that we do not have the other mutants in the country. For now, what we have is the UK variant, which actually responds to the AstraZeneca. So I think that we are on course, and hopefully we'll be able to achieve our target.
But Doc, let me get back to you with you here again. Are you saying that you are targeting ending of October to vaccinate X number of persons, and then you recommend to the president that you've been able to target the herd immunity, and then we can do the gradual open up of the other sectors of the economy, or what?
No, so I think that what I said was that our end product is that let's get these 20 million Ghanaians vaccinated. You see, when you are not able to achieve the herd immunity, it is not the best way you want to go about it, because though you will be trying to improve on your number of immunized persons, there's still the risk of transmission. So you need the numbers. I mean, you need the numbers to be able to get the right kind of interventions in place. So for now, I think that if you look at the data now, it appears that is a bit of kind of plateau. But to be able to do what you want to do, we'll need the right kind of numbers to be sure that we can go back to a normal state.
So, Doc, sorry, I'm getting back to this, but I'm saying that. So, are you targeting 20 million people ending October? And what period are you working with? Just that to say that, okay, if we're able to get this X number of persons, the Ghana Health Service would then advise the minister, advise the president that we can open up the economy.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, that by when you're able to achieve that kind of figures, then clearly you have achieved what we call the herd immunity. In that case, like Ghana has come back to the normal state. If that's why we are trying to work in sequential form. You know, our hotspot is Accra and then in Kumasi. So if you're able to, let's say, break transmission in Accra and Kumasi, then clearly it's going to give us the leeway and minimize the rate of infection. Then we can, in that case, you can be sure that gradually we can be able to open it up. So that's why our initial focus is let's get Accra and Kumasi right. Now we are just looking at 600,000 doses. So to get Accra and Kumasi, in that case, you're going to need about 6 million to 8 million. Then in that case, you can be sure that you've broken the risk of transmission in these two bigger hotspots. And then we can start going close to the normal.
So if you're able to hit that by June, would you recommend for that gradual opening up of the other sectors of the economy?
Yeah, because in that case, what is happening is that you're going to get less risk of transmission of the disease. And then you can start opening up the more that we want it. But you need to be able to cut off the main source of transmission.
Let me bring in Professor Peter Korte is an economist as well. Prof, speaking as an economist, are you excited by these developments? There's talk about breaking transmission and opening up of the economy. So excited, or we should be more gradual with the process?
Well, I am excited, but also cautiously receiving this news, because it depends on, from what the scientists tell us, it depends on how well we deploy this vaccine. If we do it very well, we get the numbers, and we deploy them very well, then certainly we'll reap the benefits. And once we break the transmission, certainly the economy will bounce back. We are likely to see manufacturing and other sectors pick up. We are likely to see travels. We are likely to see the tourism sector pick up. We are likely to see many other sectors pick up. And for me, that is good. And that is likely to create more jobs, put money in people's pockets, and that will gradually move back the economy to its pre-COVID level. So yes, it's very exciting, but as I mentioned earlier, we have to get the numbers in terms of the vaccines. We also have to roll it out very well. We need to educate the people, because there are some conspiracy theories going around for vaccines and what have you. And you know, the ordinary person, once they don't buy into this, they will shy away from taking the vaccine, and the goal will be defeated. So I think we need a lot of education, a lot of massive education. We need to use all the key pillars or key mediums of dissemination. The traditional leaders, the churches or religious leaders. We need to use our media platform and many other places to make sure that we get everybody on board. And once we get that, our resilient sectors, especially ICT, pharmaceutical companies, agriculture, all these sectors will pick up, and then we can move our economies back on track.
Prof, has this pandemic actually taught us how critical the health sector is to the economy? And you think that policy-wise, going forward, if we're able to contain this, the approach should change?
Yeah, it has. It has, because we were caught off guard. I think although we have some health systems in place, nobody planned for this pandemic. Even the Western countries did not plan for this, although they had a plan in case of shocks, but they didn't expect a pandemic of this scale. And same with us. For us, same, we were not also prepared. But I think it has taught us to plan. Let's plan the pandemic in mind. If it happens, what are the strategies? Luckily for us, now we know what to do. how to deploy whatever strategy. If we have to lock down, we have to get certain health equipments in place. We have to get some PPEs or health supplies in place. I believe this has taught us a lot of lessons, and going forward, we need to budget and plan with a pandemic in mind, that it will happen at any point in time. It could be this, it could be even flood, it could be anything. I mean, we need to prepare, get prepared for this.
Do you think that we have learned our lessons and we are in a better position now as a country for another pandemic that will come again, maybe in 10 years' time, in 20 years' time?
Oh, we've certainly learned our lessons, but I don't think we are fully prepared now. We are a developing country. We don't have all the resources to be able to fight this. But I think so far so good. We've had good leadership in terms of fighting this pandemic. At a point, you all know how Ghana was hailed as one of the best countries that have really managed this pandemic. I think we have the blueprint now. We ought to develop it and make sure anytime any such thing occurs, we pull it out and be able to deploy the various strategies.
Prof, I know you are, being an economist, is it more of much I do about nothing, or it matters that we should go out there, buy these vaccines? Because there's this whole argument about whether we are a poor country or not. The World Bank and the IMF actually ranks us as a low middle income country. Speaking or putting on the economist spectacle, is it a big deal about us identifying ourselves or taking advantage of a program that is out to assist poor countries in this whole COVAX program?
But I don't think we should feel shy. I don't think we should be worried about taking advantage of the facilities that are available. The world knows that we are a low middle income country. You can't change that. We don't have all the resources. We have limited fiscal space. We've been borrowing and servicing our loans from time immemorial. And I think we ought to take advantage of whatever facility that is made available. This is not the first time we are receiving support. Remember when the pandemic broke, quickly we were able to access over $1 billion from the IMF or the World Bank. COVID reliefs and other things came in. Private sector people came in to support us. We received PPEs from China. So it is not new. And I think we should rather take advantage of this. If there's a package that would help us grab or get the needed vaccines, let's take advantage, let's get it so that we can save lives. It's better to save lives than to move out there with your with some kind of perception that if I accept it, then I'm a poor country. And I think let's put away pride, let's put away anything that would affect our ability to fight this pandemic and take advantage of whatever is being made available to us by the development partners.
Prof, I want you to hold on. The Professor Peter Kote is an economist. The Professor Alex Dodu is a pharmacologist who's chaired several boards across the world in managing pandemics. And also he puts on another cap as Director General of the Standard Boards, and also have the Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, and also said Chumakoba. These are my distinguished men on the Zoom platform. We take a short break as you look at the deployment of the vaccine and how that can aid in the recovery of the Ghanaian economy. Take a short break and we will be right back. Welcome back to PM Express, the business edition, as you're looking at the deployment of COVID-19 vaccines and how that actually can aid in the recovery of our economy. This pandemic has actually forced several sectors to actually shut down. We can talk about the hospitality industry and the other sectors as well. But looking at what is happening in other countries, Israel and UK, and even in US as well, the plan to open up. What will be the fate of Ghana as we deploy these vaccines? I have with me on our Zoom platform Professor Alex Dodu. He is a pharmacologist. in these drugs, these pandemics. He's managed it in several countries as well. And he's also the Director General of the Ghana Standard Boards as well. And also, we have the Director of Public Health also from the Ghana Health Service with us. And also Sir Chuma Kwabwa, he's Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Industries, and Professor Peter Kote is an economist. You're looking at the economy and the vaccines on PM Express Business Edition. Let me get back onto the line and get back to Professor Alex Dodu. Prof, and we're talking about pandemic. So looking at other experiences and how other diseases have been handled as well, for you, what advice do you have for businesses that you believe that there is light at the end of the tunnel very soon and we're going to cross it?
We will cross this pandemic this year.
I remember your prediction you made last year about the vaccines, and I did tweet it on my Twitter handle. And what are you seeing again in the crystal ball about this pandemic and us getting back to normal?
I mean, I think way back last year, in the heat of the pandemic, on your show, we did predict that within a year, and we had a vaccine much, much earlier. Looking at the future, we know very well from the example in the UK and other countries that this country will be opening up before the end of the year, fully. All restrictions gone.
You are looking at a total opening up before the end of the year?
It will occur because of the interventions we are undertaking. It will occur, and not just Ghana, other countries. Yes, testing and other things will continue for the foreseeable future, though eventually they will also be rolled out. Having said that, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, said something at the start of the pandemic. Seth from AGI was there, industry was there, and that was in March. I think it was the 4th, 5th, early March 2020. He said the pandemic, which is just coming upon us, can be a crisis or an opportunity. And he asked Ghanaian industry to see this crisis as an opportunity. I am also, at night, I think about business. Now, for businessmen out there, even though the world has changed, history tells us that we will witness a remarkable period of growth in the next few months. You're talking about from summer going, because companies have locked down, people have been sacked. In the big economies, they have no choice but to have stimulus packages to get the economy running for people in America, in Europe, to go back to work. They will need us in several areas.
Okay.
The question is, are we thinking of creating the future or waiting for the future to happen and for us to just be servants again under the new world order? The world has changed. The opportunities are enormous. What we need to do is to be ready. From agricultural produce to finished goods, we have advantages. We need to just get ready, and when the peak starts, take advantage of the opportunities.
Let me get to Director of Public Health. So, I was trying to break this thing down for me. You're talking about herd immunity and breaking the transmission and all those things. First, explain to me about this whole herd immunity thing, and can we see this vaccine or this virus, getting vanish in the space?
Yes, so thank you very much. So I think that the idea is that you have, let's say, a population of individuals who are likely to die infection. So what will happen is that you try to create protection for these individuals. And the protection is by two ways. It's either you get a natural immunity or by, let's say, vaccination. So natural immunity is when you are infected. You get the immunity, but that one is not the desirable one because it may lead to death.
Okay.
So you can also get the vaccination that also gives you some immunity. So if you have quite a number of people in your population who are immune, then in that case, there are people who will be in your population who are naturally not immune, but they'll be protected because it's like you are trying to find those in the population that you can infect. But because several people are immunized, then you are struggling to get those who are not immune. I mean, that's the idea of the herd immunity. So when you have that kind of numbers, then that case is assumed that the population is protected. And then, I mean, that's why the whole idea of vaccination seeks to achieve. You want to make sure they have a population that is protected and then it's assumed to be normal. So everybody desires to have those kind of numbers. And for disease entities, it varies. Some could be as low as 50% or 60% or 70 or 90. So that's why everybody's trying to. So that's why the president is saying that let's get 20 million Ghanaians vaccinated. I mean, when you have such numbers who are vaccinated, then it means that a large number of Ghanaians are protected from the disease. Then it's kind of going to the normal state. So that's the desired effect that we want to achieve.
Doc, in just a minute again, as you try and wrap up, and time is not on our side as well, for you, what is the plan to bring on board private sector? Because in some quarters, we hear that we might have to take even a third dose as well. We might need more vaccines as well. What is the plan in bringing on board private sector to aid in this whole vaccine supply and importation and all the rest?
Yeah, so I think I said earlier. So actually, the ministry is engaging with the private sector fund, and they are trying to get 6 million Ghanaians vaccinated. So there's a component of the COVAX facility, which is not the free type. There's a part that is more private sector led. Okay. So their idea is that they want to get this 6 million Ghanaians vaccinated. And what they want to do is that is the Ministry of Health, which is leading it. And when they get access to those vaccines, then a portion will come to them, whilst the government is still in charge of its portion. Because, you know, we are doing segmentation. So maybe if, assuming you are not in the first or second group, or you are rather in the third, and because it's private sector led, then somehow they get preference to their workers.
I see. Let me bring in Professor Peter Korte, economist as well. Prof, do you think that based on what you are hearing, and I know you have the data and all the rest already, should all those analysts, economists, development partners be revising their notes in terms of growth outlook and how things are going to look like? Bank of Ghana, Ghana Statistical Service. In just a minute, Prof.
Well, I think the growth projections that have been churned out or been published are based on this expectation that we'll get a vaccine. But we know the announcement of the vaccine actually came earlier. So all this information have been factored in. And I expect the projections to either vary or change marginally. But these factors have been put in place already, or have been factored in the analysis. And therefore, I don't expect any major shift in the forecasts that have been put out there for 2021. We are certainly going to grow somewhere in the region of 4% thereabout.
So Chimakobo, industries ready for this expected rebound of the economy, production, and of course, so and Prof, again, your final words in a minute. Actually, some will say that for you, you think that the rebound is near, and is the economy also ready if global oil demand goes up? There's a flip side to it. In a minute, Prof.
Yes, I mean, global demand goes up, oil prices will go up, but bear in mind that we are also an oil exporting country, so our oil revenue will also go up. The net effect is that we import more oil than we do export, so obviously that would affect it in a way. But if we are able to grow the economy, grow income, people's livelihoods increases, the net effect is actually going to be significant and positive. So I think it's good news for everybody.
Professor Alex Dodo, your final words in a minute. Ghana Standard Board pharmacologist, as your final words in a minute.
No, I just want to thank all my panelists, but importantly, the AGI and as well as the Ghana Health Service. We are rolling out the vaccines. I would encourage every one of us to follow the instructions from the Republic of Ghana so that we all quickly pull out of this and create a vibrant economy to create the jobs that we all need.
Director Public Health, I'll let you have the final words on this program. And what do you tell businesses out there and even the skeptics and also putting out all the conspiracy theories as well?
Yeah, so we have the opportunity to allow Ghanaians to go back to normal. That opportunity is to get vaccinated. The president is going to be the first person to be vaccinated. Let's join together to ensure that Ghanaians are protected. Thank you very much.
Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, Professor Alex Todu. He's a pharmacologist and also Director General at the Ghana Standard Board. Peter Korte. Professor Peter Korte is an economist. Sesima Kwabwa is Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Industries. My name is George Afe. I've been your host, and as we prepare for the vaccines, well, the experts have spoken, the scientists have spoken as well. You don't need to be worried. Let's go out there, get vaccinated as we try to open up the economy so things can get to normal for you and I. This has been PM Express Business Edition. Have a great day. My name is George Afe.